a little wind is taken out of my sail. A little wind is taken out of the sail of the idea that Glover Teixeira is going to be given an immediate rematch. The most that Glover has done to get himself the immediate rematch is he tweeted out the word rematch with a question mark and tagged like Dana White and Yuri Prochazka. That is the most that he's done. I mean, I must tell you, it's not going to get stronger as days go by. That is not how rematches work. It's not something you don't really think about today, but in 4 or 5 days, you start to reflect, and in hindsight, my God, we got to do that rematch. It doesn't work that way. No media works that way. Everything is hot right now. You have exactly 48 hours after a fight. Exactly. Sunday's a travel day. There's no media anywhere covering things on Sunday. Then on Monday, largely because of Errol Hawani, and you got to give Luke Thomas credit for it too, Monday became a big media day for MMA, and they're not going forward, they're still going back. When Tuesday rolls around, the news cycle for what's next is in full effect. So you only have 2 days. You only have 2 days to get this done. And whether you get the yes and you get the agreement or not, you've got to build that fire. Whatever spark there is, you're throwing the petroleum on it right there. And you're getting it as absolutely big as you can. Then even if it dies down a little bit, it's still bigger than any other idea that we've got out. It's just not the case here. It's just not. Glover asking for a I love it. There's only so many things that you can do. That's not Glover's strong point. We like Glover, so we did our best to do this speaking for him. Did our best to get this talk and this hype going for him. Now, Glover has come out and he's explained his weight cut. And guys, we've touched on this over here at Bad Guy Inc. a number of times, that every time that you go out and have a fight in front of the audience, there's actually 2 fights. One the audience just doesn't see and or appreciate, and that's the scale the day before. That is absolutely a battle. Every bit of your training camp, whatever you're marking on your calendar as training camp. And I had to do it with quotations. I don't fully understand what it means. I went to practice every single day at 3 o'clock. But there was a day that I would mark out mentally where the intensity would change. I think Glover does the same thing. I don't know that he packs up and goes anywhere or brings people in. He goes in and works hard every single day. But when I talk about training camp, that's also the day you start to think about making sure that you are burning more calories than you're consuming. You think about beating the scale. So if you're in training camp for 8 weeks, you're really putting this side of your part of your life, moving things aside to focus. I'm just sharing with you, it's for the scale too. You will spend 8 weeks trying to beat that scale. And Glover talked about it. He said, man, I didn't have a very good weight cut. It's why I got fatigued. He admitted it. My coaches were great. My partners were great. Camp was wonderful. I personally made a mistake, and that's why I got tired out there. Now, I knew that Glover got tired, and so did you guys. But he didn't fight like a guy that was tired. I mean, in all fairness, when the going got tough and Glover got faced with, do you want to move forward or do you not? He said yes every single time. And now Glover is apologizing for a performance that he was winning. I'm not sure we can accept that apology. I'm just not sure that it's owed. Does Glover feel that there was better Glovers and better moments and he could specifically identify the energy that was missing because he used it on the scale the day before? Sure, I accept that. But I don't know if I can accept an apology from a guy who was winning the fight. Glover was 30 seconds. He no longer had to beat Yuri Prochazka. He just had to beat the clock. It was Glover versus the clock. That's official. The 3 judges' scorecards came out. One judge had it tied going into the 5th, but the other 2 had Glover up 3-1, which means he could lose. I think he was winning the 5th. Now, the fact that he was in a precarious position, which probably wasn't going to change in the next 30 seconds, maybe that was enough to sway the 5th, but what I'm sharing for you is mathematically, it doesn't matter. Give Yuri the 5th. Glover still wins. Glover wins a split decision, 2 judges to 1. I only bring that up because this is a guy that's apologizing. He's apologizing for his performance. His performance was the greatest light heavyweight fight that I've ever seen. There was some spots. I mean, these guys traded. In pro wrestling, you call it the hope spot, where you got the wrestler that you know is going to win that night, but the other guy has a moment where he's coming on. You think, oh my God, is this where he's coming back? That's called the hope spot. You can get your hope up if you're with the other guy. There was so many different hope spots in that fight where if you were Team Prochazka, you thought, okay, we're going to get the finish. We're going to win. Oh my God, it's back to Glover. And Team Glover, we're going to get the finish. We're going to get him out of here, get our hand raised. It was an amazing night. Nobody gets to apologize for this. If Glover's saying there's an even better Glover, and that scale's a very real thing. I know we don't like excuses of any kind, guys, but every now and then there is a difference between a reason and an excuse. There is. Sometimes you have a reason for why you felt the way you did or why you performed the way that you did. Sometimes that's really good. Sometimes it's bad. Most of the time you can't identify it. But a reason and an excuse, I realize we're splitting hairs here, but they are important that you know. It's just not always helpful to come and tell the audience, but Glover now has my attention. I did think that Glover was fatiguing and fading just a little bit compared to Glover standards, compared to this cardio machine. And there used to be highlights that came out of Glover for his fight career that had nothing to do with him fighting. It would be Glover in like CrossFit gyms. Glover Teixeira doing CrossFit style workouts. And this is what he got more known for at a period of time. Glover won like 19 fights in a row, but he couldn't get the UFC. Had something to do with a visa issue. I can't totally remember it. He didn't get into the UFC until he was like 33 or 34 years old, but everybody knew who he was. And they largely knew because of what a cardio machine he was. This is what Coach Hackelman, this is what Chuck Liddell, when they were bragging about this guy and telling the world how great he is and what an incredible run he could have, they were talking about his fitness. So by Glover's standards, of which is a bar that's extremely high, I will concede there was times that he looked fatigued, but there was never a time that he backed down. Never. He fought through it. And it does make me interested. In all fairness, the reason versus the excuse, it does make me interested. That is the rematch to do. And you still preserve Anthony Smith and Ankalaev as the #1 contenders fight. But I just don't think it's going to go in that direction. That storm and that fire doesn't get bigger as time goes on. It diminishes. And they had a massive opportunity. And I think that Glover should have tried everything in the book, including emotionally leveraging Prochazka. I gave you an opportunity. You're a dude with a weird haircut and a name that people can't pronounce. We were the most under-anticipated main event of 2022, but I still gave you the opportunity. You must return that to me. And I've never seen anybody make that argument and have it denied. And it would be very helpful if Prochazka was on board. Hey, look, I'd like to move on with it, and maybe I squeaked one away, but you're 42 years old. You had your fun. Bring in Jon. It's one of those things. It's a really interesting spot that I think that Prochazka would have gone with. And I'm not saying that this is the magic saving grace, but I think that that is every bit as effective as sending out a tweet that says rematch ? The question mark is what screwed that up. Any kind of a power position, any kind of toughness, you take away when you put a question mark, right? Who asks questions? My son is in kindergarten. He raises his hand and waits to get called on, and then he asks a question. It's just a very weak position. What would the difference be coming out and saying, I sure am glad that my contract has an automatic rematch clause. I spoke to Prochazka privately. He promised me a rematch. I sure am glad that the UFC promised me a rematch. I am so excited that I've been promised a rematch. What would the difference be? One's from a position of power, making a statement. It's called a forced sale. They do this all the time in the cars business. It's just a presumed sale. Hey, what color do you want that car in? It's a presumed sale. It's a way of speaking. It's a way of negotiating. Question mark. Rematch, question mark. The light heavyweight champion of the world 48 hours ago. God's got 7 billion men on this earth. You were strongest of all of them 48 hours ago. Now you're asking questions on social media. It's tough. It's a tough spot. The rematch is not going to happen. Not immediately. You have 48 hours to make those things happen. This is going to be a distant memory. I don't know who's fighting this Saturday, but I'm very confident telling you there's going to be fights this Saturday, and by tomorrow, I'm going to have that, and I'm going to be doing the official Chael prediction and doing the whole song and dance over here. Then we're going to roll right at International Fight Week. This is going to be gone. Today is the day. As much as I'm saying it's over, it's not. You got about 5 hours left. This has got to happen today. You need commitments today. Glover came out and promised Jan Blachowicz if he was to beat Raychik and Glover was still the champion, he would give the rematch to Blachowicz. He needs to go back to Blachowicz, go, hey, remember what I did for you? I need you to go publicly and step aside. You need to go publicly and step aside and give me that fight. Then I'd be calling Anthony Smith, seeing if I could get the same deal. And if I could, I'd be coming to Ali and seeing if I could get Ankalaev to make the statement. Whatever it is that you have to do, whatever kind of horse trading you have to do in the back, whatever favors that you have to call in, whatever begging on your knees you have to do, you are on the clock to get it done.